Hey, good day. Roger Martin here from Billings, Montana. Boom, let's do this. This is interesting. Dr. Wallach with Youngevity. I didn't know so many things about him, too much about him. I knew about the cassette tape a little bit. Dead Doctors Don't Lie, but that was years ago. Here goes.
Hi, everyone. I want to welcome you all to the world premiere of The Audacity of Health, the story of my father's life, his life's work, everything that really has led up to where we are today. I'm extremely excited about this film. The film crew followed my father for over a year putting this together. They fact checked everything. They listened to his stories. They researched everything. They followed him on the road. He still does over 300 meetings per year, even today, and he's now, I think, 78 years old. Growing up with my father, to say it was an adventure is
300 meetings a year. Wow. 76.
an understatement, obviously. I've grown up I've lived in zoos. I've traveled the world. I've certainly lived in many states as my father's career took us from one zoo to another zoo to the next zoo to one state to the next state and so forth. So growing up around my father, at times we even lived in a zoo, which I thought was normal at the time. Now, in looking back, obviously, I realize how unique that was and how just really, just what an amazing opportunity that was for me and my brothers or brother and sisters, for my sisters and brother and myself growing up as kids. And so this film really kind of goes into some of that, but really goes into my father's life's work, his history, his experience. And my father caught the world's attention with his story back in the early 90s when somebody just serendipitously, when somebody just recorded my father's lecture that he'd been giving for years and started giving that out to people in the form of an audio tape. The video wasn't great, but the audio was good enough, and his story was amazing, and people found it amazing, and all of a sudden his story went viral. And so later in the 1990s, he wrote the book Dead Doctors Don't Lie, which expanded on the history of his life. And again, the audio became.
Now, I listened to this audio, Dead Doctors Don't Lie, in the 90s. Why I didn't connect him with Youngevity, I don't know. Maybe my head just wasn't right.
The best-selling, most widely distributed health lecture in history. To this day, it still is. And the book became a bestseller. And people are hungry for that knowledge. We found people to be very hungry for the knowledge that he had gained through his life's work. And so this film really kind of chronicles all of that, and will show some video that hasn't been seen for decades, was long thought to be lost. And so we're excited for you guys to see that. And I know you'll love this film as much as I do, and you'll want to share it with everybody you know. And it just is an amazing look into my father's life and his history and his experience. And so it's an amazing film, and I'm excited that we're finally able to present it to you, and I hope you share it with everybody. So after the premiere today, the film will be available on Youngevity.com to be able to view at any time, and to be able to share. So you'll be able to find it on Youngevity.com after today's premiere.
Now, it says proper nutritional can help them live longer, healthier, functional lives. His 50-year career has been filled with controversy as he has researched and made correlations between the nutritional deficiency in our foods and the rise of disease. What a statement. At age 78, he still spends over 300 days a year speaking throughout the world on the importance of proper nutrition. Critical role in nutritional supplementation plays in good health. Let's move on here. I don't want to spend too long on this.
Alienating the entire medical community. He doesn't care. He cares about the truth.
He is so brilliant when it comes to nutrition and understanding nutrition and the need for supplementation at the cellular level.
Alienating doctors or medical establishments. They need to use more of this information. Oh, that's an understatement.
I realized when I was 9 years old as a kid that nutrition played a great part in diseases that even doctors didn't know what to deal with. And that's how this all started. I had facial tics, little cramps in my face, and I'd squeak like a pig and make funny little noises. And it got worse and worse and worse by the time I was 9 years old. I was truly disabled. And my mother took me to, quote, the best doctor. And she said, I can't find anything wrong with him. So the next day in school, everybody else went to lunch. I went to the library and I found a nursing book. So I just started in the index under A's and went through it. And it said it's a calcium deficiency. I had chores on the farm, including feeding some alfalfa pellets that were enriched to little bull calves. And I would read the little analysis tags on the back. And it had minerals, including calcium. And ran right to the barn and began to eat handfuls of these little alfalfa pellets myself. And 2 weeks.
Can you imagine eating alfalfa pellets? But obviously there was some nutrition in that, because he says 2 weeks later he was healed. Let's go on here. I didn't know that he worked with white rhinos and helped the early work with that. That's pretty interesting.
It's ultimately what led to my father making the discovery many, many years later of cystic fibrosis, working as an assistant pathologist at the Yerkes Primate Center, doing research on primates in particular to further human science and human health. And ultimately that's what changed my father's direction really towards human health.
There was always that piece behind me looking for more information. Yerkes had many, many things. There's 5 of these regional primate centers scattered around the United States. In this particular one in Atlanta, Georgia, the Yerkes Regional Primate Center was being used to train and raise monkeys for NASA, for space travel. And again, it was my first year there. It was wintertime. All the people who'd been there for 15, 20 years left for the holidays. I'm the new guy on the block. I get left there by myself. Here it comes. I get a 6-month-old baby monkey. Came from a colony of 25 baby monkeys, all with different mothers and fathers, so they're not genetically related whatsoever. For 6 years, before that monkey died, every month, the parents, the mother and father of each of these baby monkeys, they would take a blood sample and put it in the freezer. So I had 6 years worth of monthly blood samples from the parents of these 25 monkeys. I mean, how perfect is that? Did everything, found the one nutrient that was missing. Hadn't been missing in the other ones before this group, but after this group, that nutrient was missing. That's why these monkeys got cystic fibrosis. It's the first non-human case of cystic fibrosis ever diagnosed.
Cystic fibrosis. There was a nutrient missing. Wow.
Primate. Or any animal for that matter. I mean, I was excited because this is really going to help us with research to help kids with cystic fibrosis. So I had this paper all ready to go. Had all the data. I had all my microscopic pictures. I had all the chemistries that I'd done, all those saved blood samples. I had the biopsies from the 24 living ones. I got it all prepared. I'm so excited. I took it to the head of the Yerkes Primate Center, and then I took it to the head of the medical school at the Emory University there. I said, I'm ready for publication here. I want you to review everything. And they fired me because they said, oh, it's a fall series.
When my father discovered this case of cystic fibrosis, anything to do with animal research was a hot potato, and anything to do with primate research was an extra, hot potato. And my father's discovery and belief back then, which is the same today, is that what led to the death of that infant monkey and led to cystic fibrosis occurring in that monkey was a nutritional deficiency. They didn't know what they didn't know, and they were feeding them a traditional diet of monkey biscuits and saturated oils and things like that. And my father's point was that the monkey in question and others were deficient in key nutrients, selenium being one of them, vitamin E and riboflavin being others. Information is power. He wanted the world to know this information. They wanted to keep that quiet. And so
They fired him. Figures.
Is that he's just a quack, like he's just crazy. And he's like a heretic. They use these types of words, but they're using it not because of his knowledge. They're using it because of how he behaves. But here's the thing, it's no different than us. It's just that most of us, meaning 99.9999% of us, don't have a sense of purpose and mission like he does. And you want him that way because the greatest leaders of this world have been that way. And they have been the ones who has been able to transform society and made an impact.
I think rebels are passionate people, and Dr. Wallach certainly fits that bill. I think you have to have a little something burning in your heart if you're going to improve health around the world.
Cool. There's a lot of good stuff in here. I'll give you the full link on that. But our food is not enough anymore. Hasn't been for a long time. I could tell you a lot of information about how the wrecked soils, agriculture has depleted bound our minerals up, a lot of other things.
On the soils that those foods were being grown in. You're not getting the nutrients even from that organic pesticide-free broccoli because the soil that it's grown in is not cared for.
U.S. Senate Document 264, published.
Anyhow, the soils are really messed up. Best nutrients are probably in sea and other areas.
In 1936, they said 85% of our farm soils are totally depleted of minerals. It's because there's no more wood ashes and there's no more silt from floods. Now, here come Dow Chemical and Monsanto. They got the greatest idea. We'll come up with fertilizers. Plants only need 3 nutrients, NPK, nitrogen, phosphorus, potassium. So all their commercial fertilizer, NPK. Carrots are beautiful. Beans are beautiful. Tomatoes. Everything you grow for these fertilizers are beautiful, but they only have 3 elements in them. And you're 57 short if you don't supplement. Now, I do have to give some credit to my agricultural professor, William Albrecht from the University of Missouri. He was an icon.
Dr. Albrecht developed not only the first theory and popularized it, that just because you have 2 oranges doesn't mean they have the same nutrient content. And he also popularized the idea and the theory that just because something is grown in the soil or in the ground doesn't mean it's the same as that same thing grown somewhere else in different soil, that nutrients aren't the same in all places. His last name now is actually the most common and popular soil science quality scale. It's called the Albrecht scale. And the Albrecht scale is the rating of the healthfulness of agriculture soil.
Interesting. So what we do in our soils, what we have in our soils, makes a big difference. Let's go on here.
Where we are today. So some of the successes that have come about because of the First Amendment litigation and also the change in the statutory law are omega-3 fatty acids reducing the risk of coronary heart disease, folic acid reducing the risk of neural tube defect births, selenium reducing the risk of cancers, antioxidant vitamins reducing the risk of cancers, and on and on. So since the victory in Pearson versus Shalala, where we were allowed for the first time in American history to communicate the information that folic acid reduces the risk of neural tube defect births when in supplement form, the incidence of neural tube defect births in this country has gone way down.
So when you submit the information around a health claim petition, it's not a simple process. It's very detailed. You have to accumulate all of the known science, the good, the science that doesn't necessarily support your claim, and the neutral science associated with the nutrients that...
I'm sure there's a lot of battles in this area. Let's go on. I'll bore you to death with this.
Wallach's work was said to be a joke and that he didn't know what he was talking about. Now the United Nations is inviting him to speak, and they're validating what he's saying.
There was a philosopher named Arthur Schopenhauer, and he's famous for saying all new ideas are first ridiculed, then fought, and then accepted.
He is on a mission, and he has this vision of exactly how it needs to be. He doesn't change. It's always, who can we help? How can we help them?
Dr. Wallach, he still does 300 lectures out of the year, does typically 5 days a week, 2 hours of radio. When he's doing this radio show, he's typically sitting in a hotel room on the telephone with a headset, and it's all coming out of his head. He doesn't have someone feeding him answers like there's other people out there saying this is the answers you should do. I don't think people realize that. They all think, oh, he's looking in a book or something like that. No, it's just his knowledge.
I have seen this guy in the course of one day do 4 hours of live radio, 2 hours of television interviews, a 3-hour seminar, travel 2 hours in the car, and be on the phone every minute talking to people that called him on the cell phone to ask him about a particular malady that somebody they knew were dealing with. This guy is 24/7 committed to human beings.
Our body.
Wow. Unreal. I'm going to leave it here, guys. It's 16 minutes. I think this is over 25 minutes long here in this video. Get the full video, watch it. This guy's committed. This is his son, Roger Martin from Billings, Montana. I'll give you the full link on this Facebook longevity video. If I could speak, it'd be great. Longevity. LONGEVITY.com. Take care.